Hey guys, so we're going to talk about subjects and verbs, which are going to be very important because you can't have a sentence without a subject and a verb. Now, you should have a nice subject and verb packet off to the side that we need to make sure we have with us and that we're filling out as we go along. So make sure you have your sheet and something to write with. All right, now, the subject of a sentence is the noun or pronoun that a sentence is about. Okay, and a couple questions to help ourselves find the subject that you can ask yourself. Who or what is the sentence about? And who or what is performing the action? Okay, so our subject is going to be kind of the main topic of the sentence, and also if there's an action verb, the thing or person or whatever that is performing that action. Now, the subject will always be a noun or pronoun. Those are the only two options. Okay, so a couple examples. The students learned about rules and procedures. My subject is students. They're the ones that are doing the learning, and they're the ones that my sentence is about. Okay? Now, if I look at my next one, example, she is sick, my subject is she. And in this situation, she isn't really doing anything, it's describing she, right? So the sentence is about she, telling us that she is sick. All right, so let's do some practice. The car screeches to a halt. Okay, so I want to try to find my subject. So I'm going to ask myself, who or what is the sentence about? Who or what is performing the action, if there is one? So looking at it, it looks like my car is going to be my subject because it is screeching, it's doing the action, and it's also what the sentence is mainly about. Okay, so let's look at number 2. The man yells at the child. So same thing. Who's performing my action? Who or what is the sentence about? All right, it looks like it's going to have to be man because looking at it, the man is yelling, all right, and it's mostly about him and his actions. All right, number 3, the plant is dying. Okay, so here we have the plant as our subject. Make sure you're underlining it. And it is performing the action of dying, which is kind of a bummer, but that is what our sentence is mostly about. Now, subjects and verbs are closely tied together because your subject is performing the verb or being described by the verb. So I want to quickly review verbs, which we talked about last week, because I know they're tricky and we need a lot of review with them. So verbs describe the action being done in a sentence, or they can link two words together, usually a noun with the word that's describing it, and that's when we have be verbs. So when we're trying to find the verb, we can ask ourselves, what's the subject doing, or what is being done to the subject, or is the subject being described? So let's look at a couple examples. The girl runs every morning. Okay, so I see that it looks like it's mostly about this girl, all right, and that the action she's performing is running. Okay, now let's look at my next one. The carpet was being swept. All right, it looks like it's mostly about the carpet. Here it looks like something's being done to it, and it looks like I have this verb phrase, was being swept. And that's a reminder, sometimes verbs will be part of a verb phrase where you have a main verb, like swept, and then you have be verbs or forms of have or forms of do or any of our words like might, could, or should that are helping out with our main verb. Okay, so let's do a little practice. The boy carries a dog in a basket. All right, so I'm trying to find my verbs here just to kind of review that. All right, so in number 1, it looks like I have an action verb. Okay, it looks like the boy is carrying the dog. Okay, so it's going to be my main verb there. The 2 boys act silly in front of their new teacher, number 2. All right, looking at this, I want to know what is the subject doing or what's being done to it or what action do I see in the sentence. So it looks like my sentence is mostly about the 2 boys. It looks like what they're doing is acting. All right, number 3, Jane was sitting in the rocking chair. Let's find my verb. All right, so it looks like Jane is who my sentence is mostly about. What she's doing is she's sitting. Okay, and that time it's a verb phrase where I have the main verb sitting and a helping verb. All right, so now I want to put those two things together, okay, and I want to find subject and verb. Okay, and what I want you to do is circle the verb and underline the subject. I'm going to underline my subject and bold my verb, just because that's going to be easier for me. But I want you to circle the verb and underline the subject. So, the teacher diligently grades work. All right, so my subject, I want to know who or what the sentence is about, who or what is performing the action. So looking at this, it looks like my sentence is mainly about the teacher, all right, who is spending her time doing what? Because that's going to be my verb. It looks like she's grading it. Okay. Now, number 2, the lamp was turned off. All right, my sentence looks like it's mostly about this lamp. So I'm going to underline that. Okay. And then I want to know what the lamp was doing, or since it's a lamp, what was being done to it. And it looks like it was turned. Okay, and that time I have a verb phrase with my main verb turned and a helping verb was. All right, Paul teases the girl, number 3. It looks like Paul is going to be who my sentence is mainly about, right? He's performing the action. It's focused on him. All right, the action he's performing is teasing. All right, now one last thing to know about subjects and verbs. They can be compound, meaning that they have more than one part. So, for example, I can say Sharon and Emily pull and push at the heavy couch. And that has a compound subject and verb because I have Sharon and Emily, 2 subjects joined by and I have 2 verbs also joined by and. Okay, so let's look down at the bottom, and this time we're going to look for possibly compound subjects and verbs, but maybe just normal ones. We're going to circle the verb and underline the subject, or in my case, bold the verb and underline the subject. If the subject or verb is compound, make sure to circle / underline all the parts. All right, so number 1, Katrina and Ginny are the names of my dogs. All right, so who or what is the sentence about? Who or what is performing the action? I don't really see too much of an action, but it looks like it's about the 2 dogs, Katrina and Ginny. So I have a compound subject here with 2 animals, 2 dogs, as my subject. Now, it looks like for my verb, I just have my be verb are. Okay, remember, we have our be verbs am, are, was, were, be, being, been. All right, and I think I forgot is. All right, and those can be the main verbs or they can be helping verbs. All right, number 2, both dogs run and jump when in the backyard. So it looks like my subject is the dogs, but it's just one word here. All right, and it looks like they're performing 2 actions, 2 verbs. They are running and jumping. All right, Ginny is small, reddish, and fluffy. Okay, looks like it's mostly about Ginny. All right, and it looks like I have another be verb here because it's just describing her. Is. All right, now my next one, Katrina is a yellow lab. All right, it looks like my subject is going to be Katrina because it's mostly about her. And my verb is, once again, another be verb, is. All right, so we're going to do some more practice with subjects and verbs. All sentences got to have them, so they're very important. And I'll see you in class tomorrow.